So artificial intelligence will be used in almost every aspect of Snapshot. We're already using it in some very important ways that you might not know about. So let me show you what you can do. Let's say you're doing a deployment, and as you're probably familiar, there can be some pretty confusing error messages associated with the Metadata API. And so now you can just right-click the errors and choose to explain the error messages. And this will show you all of the different error messages that were found. You can select any error message and choose to explain it with artificial intelligence, and it will show you what's wrong and in most cases also how to fix it. And you can ask follow-on questions that are evaluated within the current context of the discussion. So that's a very powerful way to figure out what's going on. And by the way, we also support a more conventional method, which is to use Stack Exchange and their API, and this will give you all kinds of additional questions and answers that explain any one of your error messages. So let me give you another example. One thing people like to do is to build data sets and migrate them. And when you're building a data set, one of the things you need to do is to select the objects that you want to work with. And you can use a filter or select them by name, lots of different methods. But one of the methods is to use a SOQL filter, which is the query language that Salesforce supports. And what's nice about that is it's really powerful. And now there's a new option to create a filter. And this brings up an interface that lets you describe a filter that you want in plain text, and then it generates it for you. So for example, find all the accounts that are referenced by contacts. That's a pretty hard filter to write. And you hit the create button, and you'll see that our artificial intelligence works perfectly. It gives you the ID in the set of selected account ID from contact. And so that will give you all the accounts that are referenced by a contact. And you click OK, and it inserts it right there into the area, and then you can test it and see example records. Let's do another example. So now let's use a custom object. Let's create a filter for that. So for example, let's find records where the rating is warm and they are in the computer industry. We hit the create button, and we see just like that, it finds the correct custom field, pick list that's warm, and the industry is technology. Let's make it a little bit more complex, but only for small companies that were started in the last year. And let's look for those. And just like that, it looks for companies where the employee is less than 50 and they were founded in the last 365 days. So what's really great about this is, you can then edit the filter if you need to, and we can see our records. And if you go through the records, you'll see that in fact they were founded with the employees and in the right industry. So worked perfectly. So this is a very, very powerful new way to automatically generate complex SOQL filters and then use them in your data set. And we can then go forward, of course, and build that data set for migration. Let's look at one more example of how we use artificial intelligence. Let's say we're optimizing some Apex code quality, and I can select any of my classes or triggers over here at left, and I can see the various problems from static analysis and click through those and see where they are in the code. But you might be curious, what does this Apex class do? And if you're not a programmer, even if you are a programmer, that can be tough to figure out. But now you can right-click and say, explain it to me. And it will bring it up into this interface, click the explain button, and just like that, you get a concise summary of everything that this class can do. But now you might want to go farther and try even creating an Apex class. So there's another tab here, and you can paste any description of a class you want to build over here at left. And click the create button. In this case, we're going to build a class to delete any contacts that are not associated with an account. And it not only creates the class for you, but gives you a nice little warning that explains that this is a little bit dangerous and be careful where you use this code. But you can then copy the class out right here and export that and use that to create a real Apex class. All right, that's a pretty brief explanation of how we're going to use artificial intelligence in Snapshot to make the administrative job a lot simpler.